There's a story in Greek mythology about a boy and his father who needed to escape their homeland, but escaping would be very difficult, for they were prisoners to a high king. Thankfully, the father was a brilliant craftsman for the time, so with wax and feathers, he created wings for his son and himself to fly away to freedom. But before taking off, the father warned the boy to never fly too high or too low, for if he flew too low, the dampness of the sea would clog the wings, and if he flew too high, then the intense heat of the sun would melt the wax. Unfortunately, the boy was foolish and disregarded his father's warnings, so as they flew away from their imprisonment, the boy began to fly high up in the sky. Just like how his father warned him, as he climbed higher into the heavens, the extreme heat of the sun melted the wax, which caused the wings to break apart. With no wings, the boy fell into the roaring sea where he drowned. Many of you probably already heard of the story of Icarus and his name, but you probably didn't know he is known by a different name, and that name being Bonza. Like many upstarting YouTubers, Bonza tried to jump in the hellscape of YouTube, which his first attempt proved to not be so successful, due to some unconfirmed controversies which involved accusations of Bonza being transphobic. Bonza decided to abandon his first channel, and then would later try again with his recent channel, this time being successful for a while. Bonza caught his break when he made a video about Turkey Tom, talking shit about him for the document he wrote for the Pyrocynical situation. It was during this time that Pyrocynical made his alright response, defending himself against the allegations made against him, to which the fans accepted without question. This, of course, would mean anything else that would go against Pyrocynical's truth was considered a lie in the minds of the fans. They were prepared to attack anyone criticizing Pyro, and were more than willing to support those who criticized the ones that were cautious or outright against Pyro. This was Bonza's moment to shine, to rise up in the ranks. He made multiple videos talking about Turkey Tom, criticizing him over and over again, and the people loved it. In this short period, Bonza was able to amass a small community and rake in thousands of views. Bonza crafted his wings and began to fly high to freedom, to glory. There were few who criticized Bonza for what he said in some of his videos, mainly for his "I'm a psychology minor in progress" quote and other valid arguments. He was quick to dismiss all the points made against him. Bonza held himself up to a high standard, a standard that he was happy to remind everyone when it was needed. He had his head up his ass would be an understatement of the year. It was clear that Bonza was enjoying his newfound success a little too much, to the point where he thought no one could criticize him, for either we were too stupid or we were too insignificant to be taken seriously. One thing is for sure is his obsession for numbers or the ratio. He would always comment about someone being ratioed on Twitter or on other people's YouTube channels if they dared to speak out against him. Bonza would go on making subpar content, and when needed, a video criticizing other easy targets online. Little did he know, his time to be ratioed was near, and his growth would be sent to a screeching halt. Bonza was flying too high into the sky. In his final days on YouTube, Bonza made a video on Griffin Games, doing his usual thing of saying nothing and dragging the person against the dirt. But this time, it was different. Instead of having the support of the people actually went against Bonza for his poor points and false accusations. Many people tried to criticize Bonza for his videos on Griffin Gaming, but that only resulted in a ban from his Discord server. It seemed like he was deleting comments, claiming either it was because YouTube was doing it, or the comments themselves were too vile. The wax was melting, and his wings were beginning to fail. The finishing blow that sent Bonza to the tipping point was when a couple of commentary YouTubers went after Bonza, finally having enough of his bullshit. With so many people on his ass, instantly giving him a solid dislike ratio, it started to have an effect on his health. Once the illusion of grandeur disappeared, Bonza decided to call it quits and leave YouTube once again. The wings gave in, and Bonza was sent plummeting down into the ocean, where he drowned. At the end of the day, it wasn't the hate or criticism that was killing him. No, it was Bonza that was killing himself. He poked the hornet's nest and got stung. He poked the bear and had his throat ripped out. He flew too close to the sun and fell to his death while he was on fire. He knew what he was getting into, but instead of listening to logic, he decided to go on the offensive. He went on a war path and quickly found defeat. Bonza, you will be remembered as the psychology minor in progress that lied his way to the top, manipulated his way out of criticism, but most of all, you will be remembered as a bitch. Though you will be remembered as these things, you will be forgotten because you are an extremely unremarkable person. You were very boring, even for someone who studied medicine. If you ever return to YouTube, you will not be met with open arms, but instead, more criticism. If you want my advice, don't be a YouTuber. It's painfully obvious that you're not cut out for this line of work. Goodbye, Bonza. I hope you get better, both physically and mentally.